Hey guys, my name is Arnav Chakravarti and you're listening to the podcast is Wrestling Radio by Arnav Chakravarti. If you want to collab with me, then email us. Business email is available on YouTube in About section. And my podcast was available on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Amazon Music, YouTube, and many more. And absolutely, this podcast is related to wrestling related, such as New Japan Pro Wrestling, WWE, All Elite Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and many more wrestling entertainment companies that I'm talking about the reviews, some spoilers, some everything that is gonna available on my podcast. So just listen. Bye.
Hi guys, my name is Arnav Chakraborty and you are listening my podcast is the Wrestling Radio by Arnav Chakraborty. This is episode 2 and the episode 2 is Goldberg versus Undertaker WWE Super Showdown turned into a joke. Why? Can you give me some answer? I'm telling you some of the major factors that why Goldberg and Undertaker match Super Showdown. This is the first time ever match. It was turned into a joke. This is a first time match. Everybody should be interested that Undertaker's return in WWE, Goldberg also return in WWE. You can notice about that. I'm told in earlier podcast in episode 1 that Goldberg after returning on Super Showdown his intro came. He is coming on his room. You can see the notice that Goldberg's head was little showing busted head. Goldberg came in ring, but his head was half busted. Bleeding was coming. It was obviously know that Goldberg had taken so many weights, or I think Goldberg got something damage in the skin. That's why Goldberg got some external damage in head. That's why the bleeding comes off. I don't know why Goldberg's head was busted again. And if I say about that, in the matches, Undertaker and Goldberg, due to the age factors, Undertaker was also age 50, Goldberg age was also 50. Yeah, everything was quietly possible. Goldberg should definitely win this match. Undertaker should definitely win this match. In Super Showdown, Undertaker got a victory. But I saw that Undertaker was quietly unhappy. Why? Everybody seems to know that why Undertaker was not satisfied this winning streak by defeating Goldberg. You can see that there are some major things I saw on YouTube. Goldberg's that there are some clickbait videos, wrestling videos that everybody should listen watch that. Undertaker hitting a tombstone on the Goldberg. I can see this very clearly. I saw this match multiple times. Undertaker hitting Goldberg in a tombstone pile driver. After hitting a successful tombstone pile driver, Goldberg's head was hit down onto the down, onto the ring floor, onto the ring. He fell down into the ring. He was totally unconscious. Goldberg hitting a jackhammer, but Goldberg's jackhammer gone wrong because of. I'm not talking about because of excessive weight, because Goldberg can still pull so many weights. Goldberg's jackhammer got wrong. There's the one simple and the one pathetic questions. The reason is I can just say about that. There is no such criticism about Vince McMahon wants to wants to decrease Goldberg's ratings, wants to disappoint wants to disappoint Undertaker. There is no criticism, but they're criticized by wrestling fans. I was completely in shock, absolutely completely in shock. Goldberg versus Undertaker wrestling turned into a joke. Yeah, this is absolutely pathetic and sadness. Even I'm also a Goldberg fan. Even I'm also a Undertaker fan. But I'm completely in shock that Undertaker versus Goldberg Super Showdown, first time ever match, WWE WCW was really happening. I know that everything was quite satisfied. Nobody can say that Undertaker versus Goldberg match was can't happen, but it happened. Match was completed. Undertaker wins due to Goldberg's unconsciousness. Undertaker hitting a choke slam to Goldberg. You can see that Undertaker was feeling tired. Goldberg was also feeling extremely tired. There are so many reasons why Undertaker beat Goldberg. And you can notice about that Undertaker was unhappy that Goldberg lost because he is the most WCW legend and Undertaker was also WCW legend. You can, sorry, he's a WWE legend, but I'm talking about the most interesting facts like that. Undertaker was also a WCW wrestler, but not into Undertaker's ring name. His name is Mark Calloway. He debuted in WCW and he fight a match and he played a match against Sting in WCW. Sting versus Mark Calloway. You can just say that. You can't say that Sting versus Undertaker because if Sting versus Undertaker really happens in WWE, then it will definitely win the Undertaker because look at this Undertaker's position. Look at the Sting's position. I know that Sting. What about the Sting in WCW? What about the Undertaker in WWE? Everything was quite possible. But if I'm talking about the Goldberg, Goldberg should compete. Goldberg should compare into the Undertaker streak. I'm not talking about the regular streak. There are so many records. Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. Look at this. Goldberg's WCW regular winning streak, undefeated streak. You can just say that undefeated streak. Yeah, everything is quite possible. But the main factor is why Goldberg lost. I saw that Goldberg hitting spear in the Undertaker to the Undertaker, but Undertaker moved, Undertaker saved, but Goldberg busted upon its head, and Goldberg was suffered a concussions, everything like that. Yeah, that's the main factors about that. And the main thing is you can just say that there are so many reasons. I got the reasons. There are so many reasons why Goldberg, after losing the match, Goldberg explains that he has no intention to retire the career in WWE. And Goldberg says that Goldberg finally explains why his WWE match with The Undertaker in Saudi Arabia went so horribly wrong. Actually, there are so many reasons. Goldberg says that Goldberg suffered a major concussion during the bout that would hinder everything he did moving forward, and he couldn't lift the dead man for the jackhammer. resulting in a nasty drop to the head for Taker. Fans panned the fight as the worst match in WWE history, and Goldberg collapsed at ringside following the debacle. Following his successful comeback against Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam, the three-time world champion has finally spoken about the horror show in Saudi Arabia. Goldberg told Booker T on his Hall of Fame podcast that he was trying to make the match as realistic as possible, and it backfired on him. That was so what can I do? Goldberg also says that I'm not going to make excuses, that's for sure. I am just going to answer questions and give facts. Facts are the reason why I had that match with The Undertaker and took that opportunity was because it was an opportunity of a lifetime, whether I was 22, 52, or 102. You know, not that it was in Saudi Arabia, but because it was against The Undertaker. That was simple as that. It was says that he was the only guy that I never crossed paths with, and the heat I knew going in it was going to be hot in Georgia, playing for the Falcons or the Georgia Bulldogs or the LA Rams down in Los Angeles. It was hotter than hell, and you know it's going to be hot. It's one of those things you accept. I had the perfect storm of crappiness because for me, people don't know all the things that go into everything. At 52, going against The Undertaker and being Bill Goldberg in the short period of time that I had, I can either do one or two things. I can get in really good shape or I can try to get as big as humanly possible so I don't look like an old Bill Goldberg against The Undertaker. So it's a compromise. It's always a compromise. Goldberg, he says that till this last time, though I don't need the cardio man. I didn't concentrate on getting big at all for the 4 weeks that I had. I just tried to get in shape. I didn't try to add a pound. I tried to lose weight this time. Even every situation is different. It's like trapping for a different dream. I liken everything to football because I am a mid threat and was born into a football helmet. Yeah, it's absolutely right. Goldberg was an NFL star, former NFL star. After retiring the former NFL star, he joined in WCW and his debut WCW match against Hug Morris. You can just say that Bill DeMott. Bill DeMott is now a podcaster and a former WWE wrestler. Yes, he is a former WCW player named as Hugh Morris. Remember this name. But the ring post think, hey man, that's a spot that a couple of the bookers came up to me and said, we call it. We knew you were going to do that because 50% of the time I have done that spot, I have not had good results because here's the deal. I don't profess to be an entertainer on the level of Ric Flair that can go out and make people laugh. I mean, I can, but it's not my way of doing things. It's absolutely right. Ric Flair's Ric Flair can entertain, but he's you can just say in another angle that Ric Flair is a 16-time WWE champion. I am talking about Ric Flair's angle. I know that Ric Flair turned into a joke, but I know that Ric Flair's, and I know honestly that Ric Flair's WWE record, 16-time world champion record, was obviously broken because of John Cena. Yes, John Cena is also a 16-time WWE champion or world heavyweight champion, you can just say it. Okay. My way of making people's jaws drop is blurring the line of reality and fiction, so everything I do has to be, it's like the cake I took from Dolph Ziggler. The first kick that I took felt really good because I had to react to it because it was planted on me. It was perfect. That is the way I walk, man. I am a reactionary guy. If I am going to be a defensive lineman, that was an All American. If I am going to be a guy who played a couple of years in the NFL, if I am going to be a guy that was known to be a thrasher, I am not going to run into a turnbuckle and miss it and act like it killed me. Yes, it's absolutely right. Goldberg's situation was absolutely critical. When posted upon his head, it turned into a turnbuckle. Oh my god, it's absolutely humor, humongous. Yes, I can't do that, so I have to make it look as close as killing me as possible, and sometimes, unfortunately, the circumstances are such that I go a little on overboard. And when you accelerate at an age, your body can't take that overboard as it used to. Yeah, sounds like good. I I agree. The Goldberg says that he says that I can't bounce back from it like I used to, and then the perfect storm of the Heat and the perfect storm of the Undertaker not having the timing and not going at the same time at one point or something. Hey, at the end of the day, there's never been a freaking dude in the middle of the ring that I couldn't pick up, period. It was an unfortunate deal that I shouldn't have gone as hard as I went. And then there was a couple of people saying that a referee should have called it. Well, guess what? The referee asked me 15 times how I felt, and you know what I told him 15 different answers. I felt different every single time that he asked me. Not sure how much of it was down to the Undertaker's timing, but Goldberg is certainly right when he says he was trying to make it real, and once he took that shot to the head, it was downhill from there. Yes, it was absolutely correct. Numerous reports suggest that the WCW icon will wrestle again this year when the WWE head to Saudi Arabia in November. It was absolutely correct. That was the reason why Goldberg's this WWE Saudi Arabia match, WWE Super Showdown match against the Undertaker, it was a fail, failure. It was done wrong. It was his worst WWE match ever than ever in WWE history. This match was turned into a joke. Fans was doing a criticism about this match like Goldberg versus The Undertaker match. And the other thing is some fans that are live on Instagram, it was making a memes about that Goldberg and Undertaker, the old versus old. You can't just criticize that. You know about his age. You know about his also age, but you can't tell that these two men was old. If Goldberg reveals that he is old, then it shows that Goldberg will take a longer decision as he will retire or continue to end his career for at least one more match or other to continue his career. There was a single thing, there was a normal and common sense thing why Goldberg should tell that. I know that each and every person can't tell that I became very old, but you can say just as hint as I am gray, I am old, but I am still Goldberg. He told in WWE Pump. So there's the main factors why Goldberg and Undertaker WWE Super Showdown match turned down into a disaster. I'm obviously totally, my heart fell down. I'm totally sad thing only for me, and others I don't care about what fans thought about that, what fans thinks that Goldberg is a bastard, and you can just notice about that. You can just notice about that Goldberg lost to the Undertaker. A WWE NXT star Matt Riddle also criticizes Goldberg. You can just say that Goldberg was totally frustrated. Matt Riddle's bastard words. Goldberg blocked Matt Riddle's Twitter account. Yes, because Goldberg deserves a better man. I know that there's you are a wrestler and you are doing as a business. The business is always related to ups and downs. I know everything from top to bottom. But you can't say that Goldberg is the worst wrestler ever. Matt Riddle, you have made a mistake. And I know that some joke was not love you. And some joke was not so real, so not so original. If you lost, then a legend or a wrestler will criticize you. So I think it's not the right time to criticize the legendary Goldberg. It's not right time to criticize the Undertaker. It's not the right time to criticize this worst match. Even I can say that this match was the best match ever, but due to some health and medical issues, this match was turned into a joke. This match was the worst match ever. Even both of the WWE wrestlers thinks that. I think it's absolutely satisfied for my ness or everything. I think he actually thought about that in a deeply way. And the thing is, even the Sun.co.uk posted a article that disaster WWE legend The Undertaker reveals catastrophic Super Showdown match versus Goldberg ended badly when rival got concussed. This is absolutely right. Undertaker was not so happy to say that this was a catastrophic failure. Yes, everything was got into a disaster. It was said that the Undertaker admits his botched match with Goldberg was close to being catastrophic after his rival suffered a concussion. Yeah, Goldberg suffered a concussion. It was absolutely right, but I think it was said that I saw one pic that the Undertaker has admitted his dream match against Goldberg was almost catastrophic. And he says that the two legends left fans worried for their health after a botched fight clash last June. But the main thing is they got everything. And it says that Taker looked furious after he claimed victory in an error strewn clash that failed to deliver after a number of mistakes. And afterwards, Goldberg, who busted his head open during the contest, took to Twitter to answer his critics and admitted he had let down his supporters with his performances. He wrote, knocked myself out and thought I could finish. Love my fans but let you down. Goldberg tweets this message. Everyone else that found pleasure, hope you're happy. Goldberg also says that, but Goldberg didn't say that my career was end. Thank you so much for giving me love and peaceful message. Goldberg, after he says that, you can just surprise he says that never say never. This is the most interesting line. This is the most interesting dialogues in WWE history. Goldberg talked about that. Never say never. Yes, never say never was in WWE 2K19. Everything was good. You can just say that. Look at this Undertaker's reign of darkness. Undertaker's career debut November 22, 1990 at Survivor Series. WrestleMania record. The Undertaker wins 25 and losses only 2 matches. And WWE champion 4 times, world champion 3 times, Royal Rumble winner 1 time, WWE Tag Team Champion 6 times, WCW Champion. Oh my God, Goldberg won the WCW Champion 1 time. I think there was a match like WCW versus WWF versus WCW with ECW versus WWF. I think this is gonna be interesting like that. And WWE Hardcore Champion Undertaker got 1 time. That there are the most interesting game. That's why everybody loves the Undertaker. And there are so many clashes Undertaker have never faced, such as Undertaker versus Sting. This is the most future and dream match, but that never happened. And you can just notice about that Goldberg's WCW records. You can just say that 213 wins, 24. Profile DB has posted that, which is an excellent database of thousands of matches throughout the years, has Goldberg's total WCW record listed as 213 wins, 24 losses, and 11 draws. An insane record from his first bout in 1997 to his last WCW match in 2001. And after that, the ending of WCW, Goldberg debut in WWE in 2003 and his first match with The Rock on WWE Backlash. First match, he got the victory. And Goldberg's last match was Brock Lesnar on WWE WrestleMania. Goldberg beat Brock Lesnar. This match was completely interesting, that Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar WWE WrestleMania XX match. You can just say it, WrestleMania 20 match. This match was included a special guest referee, Stone Cold Steve Austin. After winning this match, Stone Cold Steve Austin hit a stunner. This was absolutely awesome. I think there was one reason that Stone Cold Steve Austin hit a stunner, because Goldberg wants to spear Vince McMahon, but he failed. Goldberg's spear was hit into a wrong side onto a Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve Austin, and Goldberg says that Goldberg apologizes to Steve Austin that, I'm sorry, in WrestleMania hit me a stunner. I think it's the right decision Goldberg takes, because Goldberg and Steve Austin was long-term best friends and always be. Because I support Goldberg and Stone Cold Steve Austin best friend, because I like to see whether Goldberg and Stone Cold Steve Austin will be a future tag team or not. But it didn't never happened, because Stone Cold Steve Austin was a retired wrestler. On that time, Goldberg was a wrestler. On 2003, Stone Cold Steve Austin was got a job in WWE as a WWE Raw general manager. You can just say that co-general manager. Yeah, it's absolutely right. That's the reason Goldberg was got successful in WCW and in WWE still now. But I know there is a criticism like that Goldberg lost to The Undertaker, and in after returning WWE, Goldberg lost to Triple H. Sorry, before WWE returned, Goldberg lost to Triple H because they say it's a cheating. Goldberg officially win in a disqualification, but it lost legally, because it was not a singles match, but it was a triple threat match, so that Goldberg lost. And you can just say about that Goldberg lost to Brock Lesnar legally in a singles match. Goldberg lost to The Undertaker in a singles match, and Goldberg lost to Braun Strowman. It also a singles match, because I believe in a blind fully, or because I love Goldberg so much. I am a huge and big fan of Goldberg. If you are listening my podcast, if you I don't know whether you will listen my podcast or not, but I'm sure that he will definitely listen my podcast. Everything was absolutely fine, but the main reason is there are some criticisms that created in a WWE match. If is Goldberg versus Undertaker, or if Sheamus versus Randy Orton, everything just got into a disaster. But I don't like this criticism of WWE and each and every wrestling fans, such as Impact Wrestling, All Elite Wrestling, MLW, Triple L, Lucha Libre, and other WWE or other wrestling association companies or other wrestling entertainment. You can just say it. I'm include NJPW also. I don't like the criticism. I don't like making memes of the WWE superstars. There are so many disasters that I don't really like it. Yeah, everybody has noticed about that after losing Goldberg match. I've told you recently that Matt Riddle criticizes Goldberg's this match. It was said that Riddle criticized Goldberg for his match with The Undertaker at Super Showdown and also mocked Goldberg for causing himself to bleed before matches. For the most part, Goldberg has avoided responding to Riddle, but he finally spoke freely about the original bro on the Total Slam podcast. Yeah, the net absolutely right. Matt Riddle has made headlines recently for getting it with Brock Lesnar and Lesnar them comforting him in person. But the Beast isn't the only one that Riddle has talked smack about as he did the same with Goldberg. Riddle was ridiculous. Riddle is like a booger stuck in your nose. He's annoying and won't go away. Stated Goldberg, he has no influence on Goldberg's life. Period. End of story. Is the wrestling business, and sometimes when you are out in public, you may run into a former foe, and you can never know how the situation will turn out. It is what it is, and we don't see eye to eye. That was absolutely correct. If you were pushed Goldberg into a bad way, then you will lost. Don't criticize. I'm not eliminating, but you will get eliminated. Right? Yeah. Goldberg talked about the confrontation and the possibility of another match with Ziggler. I don't have a problem with Mr. Ziggler. It only took me a minute and a half to take care of him last time. So I don't think he even thinks he can beat me, stated Goldberg. So I don't know what he wants. Oh my god, Riddle got so many cuts. I think I will tell to Mr. Riddle that if you face Goldberg, you will definitely lost. Look at your shape, look at your pounds. Look at Goldberg's shape and look at Goldberg's pounds. It's not possible to beat Goldberg. Okay, so if you're criticizing, think 100 times, Mr. Riddle. I am not your everything, but I'm also a big fan of Matt Riddle. But you can just say that it's absolutely own mentality, it's absolutely own opinions. You are right, you are wrong. What about you discussing about it? That's the main thing I am thinking about that. It's absolutely right. But you can just say that Goldberg's criticized was not gonna be tolerated at all for the Goldberg lovers, for the team Goldbergians. Yes, everything just notice about that. What about your thought about the material? Why you were criticizing like that? Make sure that material is joke. But you can just say that recently material's joke loved Vince McMahon. This is absolutely ridiculous message. I don't like them personally. I like his supporting Jeff Hardy. I like his supporting other wrestlers. He turned it into a joke, but I think something good as fuck. You can just say that like that. Good things. Yeah, absolutely right. And even you tell that Goldberg face to face with Matt Riddle in outside of WWE ring, you can just say that in WWE, I saw the WWE video, Goldberg and Matt Riddle came face to face. Matt Riddle says that, hey bro. Goldberg says that, I'm not your bro. This was absolutely right. You have to give just a response. If you were criticizing Goldberg, if you are disrespecting Goldberg, then Goldberg will turn into a heel and hit the spear, hit the jackhammer, and game over. It's absolutely right. So, Mr. Riddle, if you want to give respect, then see his records. If you paid Goldberg records, then Goldberg will appreciate. Then Goldberg will appreciate you. Goldberg will do what Goldberg needs to do. Okay? So that's the best thing. I ever said that. Keep mind and give your good things better than you. So here's the main reason why Goldberg and Undertaker's WWE Super Showdown match was turned into a joke, was turned into a meme, was turned into a disaster, was turned into a hypocrisy, was, you can just say that it was turned into a catastrophic failure like that. But the main thing is Goldberg is still Goldberg and Undertaker is still Undertaker. And it's my opinions and it's the main truth things because my podcast, I'm not telling the fake things because I am a wrestling fan. I watch so many wrestling and I will do the podcast in a truthfully things back. So here's the ending of the second episode. Make sure if you subscribe to my podcast platform like Spotify, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Apple Podcast, and you can just say that Overcast, Google Podcast, it's available. Don't worry, my podcast will available to all other platforms like Stitcher was also available. And make sure if you follow and if you subscribe my podcast, you will got the legitimate podcast. And thank you so much for joining us in my podcast show. See you goodbye on the next podcast, next episode of the Wrestling Radio by Arnav Chakraborty. Thank you so much for joining us this show. Thank you.